you're fighting government officials or .gov agencies or even the police. You know, we've all been fighting. I've fought the police many times. One IPCC battles. You know, I've had one of my complaints. Well, that word complaint really disturbs me, because when you've been threatened and bullied by a police officer or an ex-police officer, and you report him to the police or the IPCC, they all of a sudden try and turn it round on you that you're the bad guy. But I've had IPCC complaints, as they call it, upheld. Make no mistake. I've also, as John has as well, and many other people that I know, we've been working. I don't know whether Andy are aware of a guy called Mr. Matthew Taylor. He goes under the umbrella as the Shadow Sussex Police and Crime Commissioner. He's self-appointed, keeping the Crime Commissioner, Katie Bourne of Sussex, you know, calling her to account and putting out an extra layer of scrutiny. Well, he's gone into her time and time and time again on my behalf and everyone else's behalf, and he gets met with the wall of silence again. He's now put a complaint in because over some expenses that she had for a train fare or travelling, whatever it was, I'm not sure of the full details, where she said on the election, which has just happened recently, in May, that she didn't claim any expenses. Well, he found out through Freedom of Information that she did claim. She's now paid the money back, but that's not the point. There was a, you know, an underhanded possible set of circumstances where she didn't reveal that she'd actually taken expenses. So, you know, and prior to that Crime Commissioner elections in Sussex, where Katie Bourne was a Conservative member, I might just add, I emailed her, I emailed the lawyer from East Sussex and West Sussex County Council. I emailed everybody, Theresa May, the whole lot, asking her not to be allowed to stand in those PCC, Police Crime Commissioner elections, because we've got her held on notice that she's aided and abetted an organised gang of criminals that have stolen money and potentially murdered an innocent man. She's gone on and got the Crime Commissioner's job again, 85 grand a year plus whatever. And after we put him on notice that she cannot stand in that election because she's perverted the course of justice by aiding and abetting the organised gang of criminals that have stolen the money and that have caused massive hurt to, or possible murder, potentially, to an innocent member of the public. I've reported all of this to the Chief Constable of Sussex Police, who is Giles York, and his Chief Staff Officer, Emma Bryce, who I believe's moved on from that position, but she was at the meeting that I had, and that was just over a year ago. They didn't do anything about it. They said they were viewing CCTV footage, and that Commander Jason Tingley from Sussex Police had been viewing it the week before our meeting and was analysing it, and they were going to have a meeting to discuss it. Then they never came back. I progressed chase with them. They then came back and said, well, we don't know whether the CCTV footage still exists from the police station where the assault or the possible murder and the theft of the money took place. But there it was. It was all being looked through and viewed just 1 week prior to my meeting with the Chief Constable, Giles York. It's also worth noting that I also reported this to Martin Richards, who's the ex-Chief Constable of Sussex Police. It's all over the internet. Matthew Taylor's pumped it out there, that all of these events had taken place. And Martin Richards, the ex-Chief Constable of Sussex Police, it was reported to him through his Chief Staff Police Officer, who was Commander Jason Tingley. But they just went quiet and just froze me out. And what I've come to learn, because I've been chasing police, after I chased the then Chief Constable of Sussex Police, Martin Richards, I made 3 legitimate complaints. They washed me away without taking any proper evidence and interviewing any witnesses that were involved. Didn't come, and considering that there's a possible and potential murder involved and the theft of millions of pounds of government money that's been stolen from the Treasury, and we can prove that, the whole thing was a whitewash for me. We've also come to know that everything is not what it seems, and we've sussed all that out through, obviously, our team, through intelligence gathering and making assessments through all of the government agencies who have lied and deceived us. and have also lied and deceived the general public by aiding and abetting organised gangs of criminals who have stolen serious amounts of public funding from the UK citizens via the UK Treasury. And now we feel that, it's high time that we attempt to set things right and renegotiate, which I will more than prepared to do. And they all know the 650 MPs in the British Parliament, House of Commons, know the royal family, the Windsors, have full knowledge. All of the police forces throughout Sussex, the Metropolitan Police, everybody knows that I've advised them and formally put them on notice that I'm more than prepared with my team, which will include also John Patterson and Matthew Taylor. I will step up to the plate to attempt to renegotiate our social contract with these people, and that'll be on record now for the citizens of the UK, as the powers to be should be looking after and ensuring that the best interests of all of the citizens in the UK are first and foremost. And these powers to be, Cameron, Theresa May, I'll come to her in a minute, all of these people, the 650 MPs, the Windsors, all of the police forces, they should be looking after the interests of the citizens of the UK first and foremost, as I say, and should not be acting for the benefit and enrichment of themselves. This has been now for so many years, as John Patterson has just illustrated both clearly and perfectly. Tony Blair now has had all this come on top with him yesterday. Obviously, he knew this was coming. This, in our team's opinion, is why, on record, we'd say this, that Jeremy Corbyn has refused to stand down for the last 2 weeks, is because he's been waiting patiently for this Chilcot inquiry to come out, where he obviously fully intends to launch an attack onto Tony Blair for the things that he let go back in 2003. As Jeremy Corbyn, I'm led to believe, was one of the 1,700,000 people that marched through London in protest to the war that was going to take place in Iraq, that Tony Blair had sanctioned and gone along with President Bush and the Bush administration, and he was going to do that, as we all know, no matter what and whatever. Tony Blair should be standing up now to responsibilities that have been entrusted in him as a Prime Minister, and should be made, most definitely, to compensate families of the military personnel who had sacrificed their lives all over a set of circumstances in Iraq that were not only false and untrue, but were nothing more than Blair licking up to the Bush administration. And he should also be made to, in some way, with the between 60 and 100 million pounds that he boasts and what is alleged that he's sitting on. But obviously he's a money man. We used to call them breadheads in the music business in the early 70s, only out for money, which he obviously is. He should be made to also in some way compensate the hundreds of thousands of people and families in Iraq. They too have lost their loved ones, women, men, children, that were sacrificed over this Iraq war, a war that should never have been taking place in the first place. It's also on record that Hans Blix, who was the weapons investigator, who was sent to Iraq to investigate weapons of mass destruction, and the 45 false claim that Tony Blair made that they could launch nuclear weapons against us within 45 minutes. Hans Blix, the chief investigator out there, weapons investigator, pleaded for more time to look into it. He couldn't find anything. He begged, demanded, and insisted that they gave him more time to look, but they washed over him as well. And we all know what happened to David Kelly that was also about to blow the whistle. So back to you, Andy, and I hope what I've said tonight has been helpful. If not, maybe it's repetitive to what everybody already knows, but hopefully it's been helpful, clear, and it's been in some way helpful to the people that have sacrificed the 179 military personnel that lost their lives in such a bloody, wicked and horrible and avoidable war. Thank you, Andy.
Yeah, Mr. Setchfield, it's been very helpful, very informative. and absolutely spot on there with your words. I could listen to you like I do when I'm reading a book or I'm listening to some audio with people, giving me some spiritual guidance. I'm not saying you're God, but you just got that voice that I could just, sit here, I don't mean sleep, but more chill out and think, well, my day's over now, and I feel much better after that, listening to this gentleman. So, yeah.
Hey, Andy, I must say, I mean, I hate to boast, but I get to chat to, Brian all the time on Skype. It's incredible stuff. And you trust me, you haven't heard 5%.
No, hopefully, if you've got the time over the next few weeks, there's going to be times when I'm not here on holiday, but this is a platform, and you can have a copy of the recording, and of course, you can put it where you want on YouTube. I'll provide the platform. It's not a big one. I mean, tonight we're very lucky to have like 450 people. We generally fluctuate between 200 and 300, but because I've been spamming, I think I need to change my name to Spammy, because I always spam everyone. Because they need to know this. If they're not willing to click a link, that's as much as we can do for them. If they don't research or listen, then we can't help them anymore. We've done our bit by God really, or by spiritual, brotherly love, sisterly love. We've tried to help them, and if they're not listening, then it's up to them.
Well, it's at their fingertips. Know your history, and you know what's coming.
We did promise Julia. So we'll get Julia on the landline. I've got to call her in now, and then we'll after that we'll go back into this Blair Theresa May stuff, and a bit more from you then, John, as well.
Cool, sounds good. I'll mute.
Yeah, I think so.